Hi again. Um, I know I just did a video clip not so long ago, huh? But it feels like with all that's happening in the world, more came up for me to talk about. And yeah, it's quite amazing times, huh? I mean, really, I just feel so grateful to be aligned in myself and be relaxed in myself and just being with what is. And also, it started with a bag of popcorn to watch the movie and it got to be a bigger bag. And now it's, when you go to the movie theaters and you can get a bucket of popcorn, it's like, okay, I need a bucket of popcorn now to watch this movie unfold. Wow, it's really something, huh? So, uh, I created some images, and that's what I wanted to share today because for me, seeing something is easier, especially with an open ajna center. To seeing an image helps me to take it in. So I created all these images for what I want to share about. Basically, it's about gate seven, the gate of the leader, which is something that's quite a theme on the world stage right now, huh? With all the different world leaders, all the different kinds everywhere on the planet. I mean, it's peaking, I would say, on many levels. So yeah, I when I read the headlines and I read stories and I don't watch TV or anything, but when through the internet, I can't help but think about the the role of the leader and the different lines the leader moves through. So I hope you enjoy what I have created, and yeah, take care. And I hope you will all stay aligned within yourself, with no matter what's happening in the world, because it is what it is, and if we can trust ourselves and our own movement through it all, then it 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 protects us, huh? It protects us and keeps us um, true to our own nature and not letting our minds get caught up in all that is happening and all the worry that can cause and the concerns that can cause and the fear and everything, huh? So anyway, I hope you enjoy this. Many of you have probably seen this image before. It's something I created in Excel in the early 2000s. Um, I had first done the one, it was a 7-day course with Ra on the Global Consciousness Program. And it was 1 week long. It was, I think, in 1997 or 96. I'm not quite sure. I don't, it's hard to remember anymore. It's all so long ago. Anyway, I was very new to the experiment, and he's teaching this course. And it just seems so way out there. Like, oh my God, you know, this is so far-fetched, and how could this be? And my mind was very much still running the show. I was in the beginning of my experiment, so I believed a lot that my mind had to say back then. And anyway, I'd sit in this class. I hardly knew much about human design. I mean, I had my reading with Ra, and he kept asking me, are you going to come to this course? Are you going to do this class with me? I kept going, and I'd be so pissed because I really didn't want to learn human design, and I really didn't want to go to all these courses, but I honored my sacral response because that's my inner authority. anyway, so I sat in this class and just kept saying to myself, okay, I'm a generator. I just need to wait to respond, honor my sounds. I mean, it was like a little mantra going on because so much of what he was saying was so far-fetched, like I said, and also so far beyond, my understanding of human design. I didn't know much about the system itself. And in those days, it took a long time to get the recordings of a course. It could take sometimes 1 to 2 years to get the recordings, and they came on cassettes, those little tape cassettes, and they came in a little plastic box. So I finally got the recordings, and it was maybe 2 years later. And with the recording was a tiny, very tiny piece of paper printed with all very tiny numbers, laying out the epochs, and also, pretty much everything that I've put on this image in an Excel spreadsheet. But it was so confusing and so like hard to read. And one day I was in my bedroom where I had a desk in Sedona. I was living there, and I had all this energy. It was like I really wanted to look at this. So I laid it all out on this Excel spreadsheet, and I color-coded all the different epochs, and, I added in the incarnation crosses and all of that. So, it was such a thing to do. And of course I had Ra check it, and just to make sure I had it right. And so anyway, that's this image. I wanted just to give you a little background to how this image came about. I have never used Excel before, so that was really something. And I hardly have used Excel ever since, but I managed to do it, to create this image. So anyway, this is the Global Consciousness Program. This is it. And there are 6 epochs. 6. And we're in the middle of the final epoch. And you'll see that. If you go down to the very last colors, it's kind of like a soft aqua, huh? And you'll see a white line going through. That's us right now, and it's been us for the last 400 years. So you can see we're in the middle of the final epoch. And when I've been listening, and not really listening, I read. I don't like to hear people's voices so much, but when reading what's going on in the world, all I could think about was one of the locks, huh? And that's why I wanted to share this with you. And you can see that, I highlighted this one lock. It's lock 7. And that's the gate of the leader. And all the different keys that open this lock. And you can see that gate 7, this gate of the leader, is in every single epoch. The locks never change. And the locks are all the gates of the G center, huh? Okay, I don't really want to go into global cycles and all of that. I'm hoping to finish writing the book someday on it. But if you want more, there's about a 4-hour talk from a workshop I had given many years ago. It's on my website. So anyway, what I really wanted to talk about is that, I really see that everything that is happening in the world is the unfolding program. Everything. We are not in charge, and we cannot stop this huge mechanism at work. And we're part of that mechanism. basically we're the mechanics that are being moved by the bigger mechanism. And in the early days, one of the headers on, the flyers, because we didn't have the internet back then, but the flyers you might receive in the mail about a course that Ra was doing was the mechanics of the Maya. It was human design, the mechanics of the Maya. I love that human design is referred to as the mechanics of the Maya. It's truly that. It's the Maya. This is a play. This is a great play. And you can, oh my God, things are changing so quickly now. I mean, it's like I wake up every morning and it's like, okay, what happened while I slept? I'm in Europe right now. We're 2 years until 2027. 2 years. When I sat in that class, we were 30 years away. Now it's 2 years. There's so much going on in the world, and so many changes and shifts and global leaders and all of that, trying to figure things out and whatever, But, it's what I've been sharing ever since I started my work in human design, is that for me, there's only one way to prepare to survive these shifts. And it's really living life according to strategy and making decisions based on our inner authority or the way we have to make a decision. And I know that without being anchored in myself, I would not be so relaxed and calm right now. I mean, I'm really, truly just watching a movie. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, just like you would with a movie. Something happens and it's like, whoa. And then you laugh at something else that's happening, the absurdity of so much that's happening and the craziness of so much that's happening. But I'm really calm about it all, and I'm not worried. And I know it's all part of the program. And, this is why I wanted to create this little video for you, and also include images, because I'm very visual, and I think it really helps to be able to see, not just hear the words, because I know for myself with my open mind I can hear words and it kind of goes in one ear and out the other, but if I can see something, it really helps me to understand and to take it within myself, And this is, gate 7, and this is what I'm seeing there, so much happening on the world political stage has to do with gate 7, this one lock, and this there are 7 other locks. This is just one lock, and it's the gate of the leader. And like I said, it's a lock gate. And as I mentioned before, you can see that I highlighted gate 7 in a rectangle, a red rectangle. And it's been there since the very beginning in 16,513 BC until 3674 AD. And the leader is one of the aspects that drives our evolutionary process. Okay, and this next image I had, I looked for a collection of leaders from ancient times until modern times, and this is the one that I found that I responded to. We could add many more images to this collection, that's for sure. From the very beginning, when human first began inhabiting Earth, the role of the leader has been an important one for our human evolution. And in the Rei Vai Ching, it states for Gate 7, by design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. It is a collective gate. So, if we look at the history of our planet, we have all kinds of leaders. And we've had all kinds of leaders from the very beginning of time back to, you can imagine, the caveman, till modern day, sitting around in suits or not, in meetings with other world leaders and all of this. It's been a role of the leader from way back. And this is part of the plan. And when I look at the leaders of the world today, I can't help but think of them as pawns of the larger program. And when I read headlines, I see this so clearly. It's all breaking down, and it's supposed to break down. Its time is over. Now, it doesn't mean we won't have leaders, but the theme for the leader will just move to a whole new one, and it will begin in a different line. And we'll look at this in a little bit, over the last, it's been over 400 years, these themes have completed their purpose for our human evolution. And now we need something new. For those of you who have my global cycles recordings and visuals, you've seen the images of them. And you know that the past 412 years have been a deeply collective time. And the main thing that is breaking down right now are all collective structures. Think about that. Governments, countries, corporations, collaborations, all of these world collaborations, UN, NATO, all of the things all over the world. And this is happening everywhere, I don't want to get into all this information that's on this image, but I just wanted to show you how much of an impact the collective as a theme has had on our human evolution for the past 400 years. You can see that the key gates, Gate 9, Gate 16, Gate 62, and Gate 42, are all indicated on this image. And they're all collective gates. But what's not shown here, and I think it's important to just say it, is that the lock gates, Gate 46, Gate 15, Gate 13, and Gate 7 are also collective gates. So for over 400 years, the themes of the collective have greatly influenced our human evolution. This is all, the collective has the abstract collective, which is all about the whole human experiential way. It's the beginning of something new and going through cycles. And then the logical side that creates patterns and improves the larger structures to move us into the future. And that's what's breaking down. So everyone out there who is in any form of leadership, who's trying to use an old pattern that has worked in the past and apply it to now is just going to fail. There's no way. You cannot keep repeating these old patterns because it's breaking and something new is coming. So you can see that all those collective gates that have been there for over 400 years, as of 2027, yes, we still have the collective locks, but the key, there's only one collective key, and it's an abstract collective gate. So it's about the human experience. It's not logic. So you can see that it's not going to be a time of logic as a theme for our human evolution. And you can see that, there are so many individual gates that are keys. And locks, too. And, I don't have it on this image. I have it on other images in that online workshop I had done, but I don't have it showing here. But for those of you who can look and see, you can see that when you combine gates with each other or with a lock, the key gates or lock gates, when you combine them, there are all the channels of integration are defined as a theme for the future. I mean, what a shift. What a shift to go from the collective logical structures and also tribal to this, huh? I wanted to give you information, and that's why I created this image, to provide a little background. And I'm only wanting to look at this in reference to Gate 7. And in this image, I highlighted Gate 7 in the period we are in. This whole epoch, you'll see, I took it from the larger image that was part of that first image I showed you, and then cut it and then plopped it in here so you could see that this is the epoch we are in the middle of right now. And you can see even better the white highlight showing you the dates, huh? And I've added the key gate themes for each cycle. And I highlighted in yellow the key theme for the past 412 years. And I highlighted the theme for the next cycle in pink. So since 1615, the key has been in Gate 62. This is the gate of details. Details. It's a logical gate. So not only is Gate 7 a logical collective gate, but Gate 62, the key to the lock of Gate 7, is also a logical collective gate. And Gate 62 is preponderance of the small. To be a leader, one must have the details and facts. One must also be able to verbally and logically express them. In order to move into the future, remember, it's all about taking the pattern and moving into the future. With that pattern, humanity needs the details. And Gate 62 is a gate of the throat center that says, I think. But as Ra would say, I think is not I do. And you can see that there's a thought doesn't necessarily become action, huh? So there's many, many leaders who have all these thoughts, but they never are able to get them into action because it's from the throat center, and there's no motor connected. It's the ajna center that would be, I'm sorry, the G center is connected to the throat center in gate 7, and then the ajna center from gate 62 is connected to the throat center. No motors. So this gate of details has been a very important aspect of our human evolution, because in order for the collective to understand its world, everything must have a name. This is the gate of naming things. And you can see that this is from 1615, huh? We began with this. And in the Rave I Ching, gate 62 is caution, patience, and detail produce excellence out of limitation. Caution and patience. And you can really see how, if you look at the world, well, anyway, I have a good chuckle when I look at the world and think of caution and patience. In February of 2027, the key moves to gate 53, the gate of beginnings. And you can feel this in the atmosphere, huh? You can, it's almost tangible, the need for a new beginning. Gate 53 is the beginning of a new cycle, and this cycle will last for over 400 years. This is the only collective gate for the next cycle, gate 53, and it's abstract. So it's about the human experience. So it's about the human experience of a new cycle. And this is all about transition and change. This is an energy to start a new cycle, regardless of the changes that it brings. And it's about the pressure to begin something new. And gate 53 is also known as the gate of development. And in the Rave I Ching, it says development as a structured progression that is both steadfast and enduring. You know, it's a cycle has a beginning, that's gate 53. And then, it stays with the process. This is the human experiential way to stay with something until it's completed. And, unlike gate 62, which is a throat gate, gate 53 is in the root center, which is a motor. And the root center is the fuel of life. And here the 53rd gate of development is the fuel of steadfastness. It is the energy to start a new cycle regardless of the changes that it will bring. And this gate demands patience in order to complete what has been started. What's been very interesting for me, Ra would use the word patience. He'd said it many, many times. Way back in the early days, he would say patience for patience sake. And I think the word patience can be really good for manifestors. For me, it wasn't so much patience. It was more sinking into the waiting. Because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. A manifestor's waiting for the impulse to do something. But for me, as a generator with Sackville Authority, I needed to wait for something to come to me that I could respond to. And that demanded that I wait. So this experiment in human design has been preparing us to relax in the waiting. And that can be termed to be patient, that what is meant to happen will happen. What is meant to come to us will come to us. That we don't have to go out there pushing and trying to get this to happen and that to happen from, what our minds think or what people think or whatever. So it's almost like the beginning of this new cycle. I'm so excited about it personally. I mean, like I mentioned in the last video, I don't think it's going to be like, whoa, whoa, angels singing and all of that for the world. But for me, I feel like I'm going to click in because I'm integrated in myself, and I'm not, I'm not trying to push anything. I can rest in myself and just see what unfolds. So I think for us who have been in the experiment, whether you're in the very beginning of waiting or you've been in it for a long time or whatever, it's almost like, taking the power away from the mind. Stop believing what the mind says to be true and just sinking into yourself, into your strategy. Breaks the old patterns of behavior that we've had and allows us to really move into this whole new cycle. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, yes, watching the stage falling apart, this is a bit shocking at times, watching all of what's happening in the world and it's pretty crazy. Yet it's also quite an amazing time to be alive. Okay, so here is gate 7 and all the lines, okay? And this is our present cycle closing on February 15, 2027. And I talked about this in the last video I did. So if any of you are curious about that date, you can check out the last video. And, you'll see on the right side of this image, there are dates, and it says the different dates that we began a different line, and this is from a written piece of work I was given as a gift, and it's from something Ra had written. It's called The Nature of Being, The Ark, the Stone, and the Grail, a Cosmic Fairy Tale by Hu. So I just use these because I had never seen that before, so it was in that piece that I was given. And it's this that I have been thinking about, looking at the news these days, and this is what I really wanted to look at with all of you. You can see that I highlighted line 1, which is the line we're in right now, and we've been in since 1961, the authoritarian. The new cycle, for those of you who don't know, always begins with line 6 and it ends with line 1, which is interesting. It's not the way the our planetary cycles move, and the way the mandala moves and all. It's the way the global consciousness moves, and it's the way the nodes move. So when you look at this from 1615 to 2026, the role of the leader has shifted every 66 to 71 years. And I figured that out using the calculations that Ra had given. So from 1892 until 1961, now a lot happened in that period. The lock gate of the leader was in line to the Democrat. And the Democrat is the ability to lead by serving the will of the majority. And since 1961, the leader has been in line 1, the authoritarian, the iron hand, both enlightened and despotic. It's supposed to be there. You know, you can see this around the world. Many authoritarian leaders are on the political stage. It's meant to unfold this way. It's right there. It's part of the program. You can see all the different roles of the leader in the 6 different lines. And, you know, the mind can consider this is a bad thing. You know, an authoritarian, you know, both enlightened and despotic. I mean, you know, both sides of the coin, an iron hand, you know. But when I look at all of it through the eyes of the Global Consciousness Program, I see that it is what is meant to be, whether we like it or not. You know, and before 1961, Gate 7 was in line 2, the Democrat, and it was in line 2 from 1892. This lock gate in line 2 was about the ability to lead by serving the will of the majority. How different that is. Very different from the iron hand, both enlightened and despotic. And in 2027, the leader of Gate 7, the lock gate of the leader, moves to line 6, the administrator. The ability to share and justly apportion power. And how very different that is to line 1, the authoritarian. And I found this in the Rave I Ching that I really just wanted to put it here. It's the point of conversion. It's the gate of the leader, Gate 7. By design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. And what Ra wrote in the Rave I Ching. Below, in the line keynotes, it is clear how the nature of these leadership roles are determined. What is significant is that the self is unaware. The role is genetic and mechanical, and it does not respond to a concept of role. An authoritarian will always be one, regardless. However, the conditioning power of this gate is enormous and has had profound effects on our collective history. You know, when I think about that, the role of the leader, this role gate is unaware. I mean, that's, I don't know why, but that makes me laugh. I don't know. It's just like it's a roll gate and it's mechanical. And, you know, what he's saying is basically an anarchist will always be an anarchist, an authoritarian will always be an authoritarian, a Democrat will always be a Democrat. You know, it's not going to change because there's no awareness there. And I think we can see that on the world stage, huh? And Gate 7 is always looking towards the future. And this theme has been part of our human evolution since the beginning. And it's because it's a collective gate of logic, it's always taking the patterns of the past and projecting them into the future. And the key has been the gate of details. But this key will no longer work in 2027. So, like in the last image, this is the place where the future of humanity comes to a point right now. It's pretty much now when you look at 400 plus years and we're down to the last 2 years. It's a point of convergence. And a point of convergence is a point in time and space where events align or converge. It's, as they say, the stars aligned. It's inevitable. This breaking down of collective structures is inevitable. What worked for over 400 years no longer works. And something new is needed. And this is for all the lock gates. But we're just looking at one. So just, think of that for a moment, that all the lock gates are changing like this. New keys will be needed. So, this is very similar to the image before that we looked at, but this is where I've highlighted line 6, the administrator. This is the new cycle beginning on February 15, 2027. And the dates to the right of this image are from me, I used the information from Ra that you had seen for the present cycle and calculated how many years were in between the movement from line 6 to line 1 for that period, and used those numbers to calculate the next cycle from 2027 to until 2439. I do not know if this is an accurate projection. Ra did not teach this, as far as I know. He didn't say anything. I just used his calculations and figure out how many years were in between, And I calculated that to use it for this cycle. And if you think there's an error here or whatever else, I sometimes get emails from people and they said, you made a mistake, and they just tell me it. They don't ask me, do you want to know about this mistake, or do you want to change it? They just tell me, and it's like, that doesn't work for me. I could care less sometimes if I've made a mistake. I mean, who cares? I'm human, Anyway, so this is just what I did. So I'm putting it out there right away, So in 2027, the lock of the leader moves to line 6, the administrator. And wow, that's a very different movie, From authoritarian to administrator. And the Rave I Ching states gate 7 in line 6 as the ability to share and justly apportion power. This is the power to communicate the frameworks of responsibility. It is the capacity of the self through its role to communicate responsibility. It's also the bureaucrat whose lust for power eventually destabilizes the organization. The role of the self to seek power through the communication of responsibility. There's always two sides, And I remember when I first began learning human design and looking through the Rave I Ching, my mind was constantly judging. Oh, that's a bad line, or that's a good line. And I really have to laugh at all that now, because just about everything has two sides. We live in a duality. It's simply two opposing forces, and it's life on this mundane plane. It's the material world. And what I have discovered for myself from my personal experiment is that it was my mind that made something good or bad. It was my mind that made something right or wrong. It was my mind that divided. And, the mind's not bad. I mean, it's just what it does. It looks at this or that, this and that, this or that, this or that. That's what it does. And it was all part of my unfolding. But what I've seen now is that there is not a duality inside living as myself. It's singular. If I respond to something, it is not about anyone else. It's not about the world. It's not about the other person. It's about me staying aligned within. And I do not feel divided. I can watch my mind, reading the news, and it wants to have me believe that something is good or bad. I hear it. It has its thoughts. But I don't believe what it says. The thoughts don't stick. And what I've come to for myself is that basically it is all simply what is. And I can also watch my mind try to make me feel guilty or make me feel bad because it does not think something that is happening. Because I don't believe that something that is happening is bad or that I should try to change it. It's so amazing to watch the mind. It's very entertaining. And it's been quite a journey to get to this place within. And it's not a spiritual belief that I am oneness with the whole, I mean, really, I'm in a human form, consciousness is something else, but in this form as Marianne and, blah, 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 it is just simply me experiencing oneness within myself. I'm not divided within. And I'm relaxed within, no matter what's happening in the world. And oh man, this is such a gift, especially these days. Because you can see the divisiveness is just getting stronger and stronger. It's almost as if the mind of the world is really this or that. I mean, and I don't know if there'll ever be a bridge, because it's just the mind fighting the other mind. But here I feel we're so lucky to have something that takes us from giving our mind the power to tell us what we should do or what we should believe or what we should think or what our truth is or blah, blah, blah. It's endless. And giving that power to something else within that is so in tune with the nature of who we are. I'm so grateful to Ra. I mean, what he has done for me through bringing the human design system out and for bringing strategy and authority. And I know there are some out there who were saying it's ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just saying bullshit. Strategy and authority can transform your life. I don't know about your life. It transformed my life. That's my truth. And everyone can find their own truth. But my God, I don't know. I don't know what. I'd probably be a wreck right now, a nervous wreck, worried about everything. worried about the economy and nuclear war and, uh, you know, everything falling apart and my social security checks and on and on and on and on. I mean, but I'm not. It's just all unfolding. And I'm good within myself. Okay, let's get back to gate 7, huh? Go on a little tangent. So let's just look at these 2 lines now. And I don't want to go into a great detail. I just felt like talking with you about what I see. If maybe it helps you, I don't know. And here you can look at, we're in line 1 of gate 62, which is routine, and we're moving to line 6 with a new key gate, which is gate 53. So this is a huge shift. It's not just a line shift that's big, it's a gate shift too, huh? So since 1961, we have been in the first line of the key gate 62. This is the gate of details and routine. And it's the ability to transcend the boredom through a rich and daring fantasy life. And the other side, rebellion and its enormous waste of energy. I mean, think of all that has been invented or improved since 1961. TV, movies, computers, the internet, chat rooms, social media, gaming, the whole virtual world. All of these are an escape from routine. And it has become more and more as we come to the close. Huh? Just think for a moment what the invention of the smartphone has added to this. The escape from routine is not just happening when you were at home watching TV in the early stages or going to the movies, but it's become even more so with the computer. But now everyone, with the smartphone, has a way to escape routine at their fingertips all day long. And you can see this everywhere. And Ross said something very interesting in reference to gate 61 in one of his talks on global cycles. And he said, the leaders must have the detail. What that's saying is that the real alpha of our time are the detail geeks and nerds that are locked into minute research. I thought that was really interesting. And then let's look at in February 2027, we move to a new key gate, gate 53, the gate of beginnings. And gate 53 begins with line 6, phasing. And this is the energy to attract support for this new beginning based on the success of the past. Okay, so here the past is the previous key, gate 62 details. So we need all the details of the past for the development of the future shift. We need all the details of the past for the new beginning, huh? And the Rave I Ching states that phasing is the energy to attract support for beginnings based on the success of the past. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what success comes out of our past and out of what's happening now, where we where that's pulled from. Not that we're doing it. Remember, this is the global consciousness program. This is the underbelly of all of human evolution. So it's not like we're conscious of this. It's playing out on the world stage. And it's a huge mechanism. So it really takes time. Like, line 6 is going to be around for 60 some odd years, so that's going to not be like on February 15, 2027, bam, phasing's going to be in. It's a new experience. No, the theme has shifted, but it's a huge mechanism, so it's going to really take time. I don't know if I'll be alive to see what begins to unfold, but it takes time. But now the other side of phasing, which I think is interesting, is the pressure to hide beginnings of fear in fear of losing past support. A tendency in this position to hide success in the perverse fear that the success will either create excessive demands or supporters of the original process will end their support upon completion. So here, it's just going to be an interesting time, huh? And I don't want to get into it now, but we're moving. The locks and the keys are always in the same line at the same time. So here we're moving from, all the locks and keys being in line 1 to all the locks and keys being in line 6. And that's a huge step, going from the 1 to the 6. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little video clip. I really enjoyed putting it together and letting my energy, it took some time because the energy would have a burst and this would happen and that would get done, and then it fizzled out and then it came back again. And then when I had this real big burst and wanted to actually talk to you, there was all this drilling in the building, so there was all this noise. So it's so amazing just to watch how you just breathe and just be, and everything will unfold. And I was like, well, it's either going to happen or not. So anyway, I'm glad it could happen, and I enjoyed my time with you. And I want to close with this quote from Ra. I have shared some of this before, but this time I wanted to include more, because there's some things that he said in this that I felt touched me, huh? The system is breaking down, not because there is something wrong with the system. Its time is coming to an end. It just is. It means that each and every one of you have to look within yourself and have to see therein lies what is correct for you, your authority, your capacity to be able to live correctly in this life, regardless of the circumstances that are around you. Oh, how easy it is for the not-self to be a victim. The world is filled with victims, and they blame the institutions. Well, soon there will be nothing left, in that sense, to blame. As I mentioned the other day, this policeman with this woman saying, I can't help you. It's everyone for themselves. You really have to see that's what it is all about. This is what's coming. And when everyone, and it won't be everyone, obviously, when human beings can begin to make decisions based on their own authority, it's not like they're going to be alone. It's not about being alone. It's not about being on your own. It's only about being correct within yourself. These are unusual times. We get to live on the cusp of a great change in the way in which the world works. And any time in the history of humanity that you come to these cusp points, there are all kinds of disarray that arises all around it. It's a change. There is a deep and profound mutative force that it has worked on this planet. So let's leave the blame game behind and let's enter into what is the only thing that will allow us to survive in the next cycle, the honoring of individual authority. Follow your strategy, honor your inner authority, operate correctly within yourself, and you will live as you should in this life. That is the point. There is no one you can depend on. There is no one you can rely on. And truly, there is no one you can trust but yourself. And when you're correct and you're operating correctly, that trust in yourself is your armor for this life. It will protect you. It will guide you because it's precisely what you are here for. And we are the ones, our generation, who stand at the edge of this precipice. We are the ones that are here to demonstrate the correctness of the way so that we can enter into this new age, that us, our children, that those beings that we have contact with can enter into this new cycle properly equipped.